Best friends don't keep secrets. At least, that's what I used to believe, until the day my best friend vanished for 36 hours without a trace, and came back with a bruise she couldn't explain. A suitcase she never packed, and eyes that looked like they'd seen war. A perfect friendship. Until her name was Sophie Lane. We'd been inseparable since college, polar opposites, yet magnetic. She was the confident one, with flawless makeup and an effortless laugh. I was the quiet planner, the one who made brunch reservations and remembered everyone's birthday. Together, we worked at the same boutique PR firm in DC, shared an apartment, binge-watched thrillers, told each other everything. Or so I thought. The first signet started small. Sophie began coming home late, always with the same excuse: client dinner, traffic, or the vague just needed some air. Then came the missed calls, the locked drawer in her bedroom, the night I found a second phone hidden beneath her mattress, buzzing silently at 3:14 a.m. I didn't confront her. I should have. Instead, I started watching the disappearance on Friday night. Sophie said she was heading to Baltimore for a work conference. She packed a small bag, kissed me on the cheek, and promised to be back Sunday afternoon. She never came back. Not Sunday, not Monday. I called her boss. She wasn't at any conference. They hadn't even heard from her. I filed a missing persons report. The police told me to wait 48 hours. I waited 36. That's when she returned. Sophie's return, she came in through the back door like nothing happened. Same jeans, same shoes, different Sophie. She was bruised on her left temple. Her hands were scraped. Her eyes looked haunted. Where were you? I asked, heart pounding. Car trouble, she said. Lost my phone. Both of them. Her lips parted, but no words came out. That's when I knew. She wasn't just hiding something. She was hiding everything. The journal entry: couldn't sleep that night. While she showered, I did something I never thought I would. I opened the drawer she always kept locked. Inside, a worn passport in a different name, a black thumb drive, and a tiny journal marked only with the initials seal. I flipped it open. Target confirmed. Operation active. Civilian still unaware. I froze. Sophie wasn't who I thought she was. The stranger I loved made pancakes the next morning like everything was normal. But I couldn't look at her the same. Couldn't unsee the bruise. Couldn't unread the journal. Did you ever lie to me? I asked suddenly. She turned, spatula in hand. Why are you asking that? Just, something feels off lately. I've never lied to you, she said softly, but her eyes were lying. I knew it. The shocking clue at night. I heard her on the phone. Through the thin apartment walls, I caught snippets. Target is watching me now. I can contain it. She doesn't suspect. Yes. I understand. No more mistakes. I couldn't breathe. I was the target. I used to know everything about Sophie Lane. Her favorite wine. Her worst breakup. The sound she made when she laughed too hard. But now, I didn't even know her real name. Questions I couldn't ask. He didn't sleep that night. I couldn't stop replaying those words I'd heard through the wall. Target is watching me now. She doesn't suspect. She meant me. I lay in bed, pretending to scroll through my phone as Sophie brewed coffee in the kitchen like everything was normal. Rough night? She asked. Yeah, I said. Just weird dreams. Weird dreams. Like finding out your best friend might be a trained liar with a passport that didn't belong to her. The thumb drive that afternoon, when Sophie left for yoga, I opened her locked drawer again. This time, I took the black thumb drive. I hesitated before plugging it into my laptop. My stomach twisted as I clicked open the folder labeled O1. There were documents, encrypted files, photos of Sophie with strangers in foreign cities. Some of the images looked like surveillance, others like meetings. One showed her handing a briefcase to a man in a Paris alley. The timestamp was from 6 months ago, right around the time she told me she was visiting her aunt in Ohio. Sophie hadn't been in Ohio. She had been in France, on a mission. The burned phone at that night. When she fell asleep on the couch, I crept into her room and unlocked the second phone I'd once found under her mattress. It had no passcode. There were Only 2 contacts. Handler, Echo. No photos, no texts, just a series of deleted calls, all recent, all international. The confrontation almost the next morning. I stood in the doorway while she brushed her teeth. "Sophie," I said, my voice shaking. "Can I ask you something?" She met my gaze in the mirror. "Of course. Are you in some kind of trouble?" She froze for a second, just one heartbeat before smiling. "No, why?" "I don't know. You've just been off." "I'm okay," she said. "You're just overthinking things." And then she left, leaving a trace of expensive perfume in a silence that felt heavier than truth. The chassis couldn't take it anymore. I followed her. She walked 3 blocks, then turned into an alley, disappeared through a rusted metal door behind a laundromat. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I finally approached a door, but before I could touch the handle, it opened. A man stepped out, tall, clean-shaven, with a buzz cut and mirrored sunglasses. He looked straight at me. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice like ice. I'm looking for the restroom." He didn't blink. "Go home." Then he shut the door. The Masagat that night. A slip of paper was slid under our apartment door. 1 line. Typed. "Ask her what happened in Prague." I did. And Sophie didn't even flinch. She just said, "You don't want to know. Ask her what happened in Prague." The typed message had no name, no return address, just truth and danger wrapped into 6 terrifying words, and I'd made the mistake of reading it aloud. The lie that didn't work. What happened in Prague? I asked Sophie over dinner that night. She didn't flinch, didn't choke on her pasta. She simply looked up and said, "That's not something I can talk about." Can't or won't? Both. And then, without missing a beat, she asked if I wanted dessert. I nodded, but inside, I was screaming. The deep web dig. When Sophie left again the next morning, this time saying she had a client pitch, I pulled out the thumb drive and tried decrypting more files. One folder was labeled Prague, November. There were time-stamped entries, surveillance notes, flight manifests, and photos blurry, fast, taken from rooftops and alleyways. In one, Sophie was sitting in a hotel cafe with a man in a red tie. In the next, that same man was lying on the ground, bleeding from the chest. Another showed Sophie walking away, calm, almost too calm. Was she a witness? Or the reason? The stranger in the elevator that evening. I returned to our apartment building. As I stepped into the elevator, a man in a gray hoodie entered behind me. He said nothing, but when the doors closed, he turned slightly and whispered, "You're not safe with her anymore." I froze. "Excuse me, we're not here for you. But if you get in the way," he looked up, finally meeting my eyes. "You won't get a second warning." Then the elevator dinged, and he stepped out, not at his floor, but at mine. The notebook I wasn't meant to find. Later that night, I went into Sophie's room again, this time with a key I'd found taped behind the sink cabinet. It opened a locked suitcase under her bed. Inside, a slim leather-bound notebook. Its contents shook me. March 3rd, Prague contact failed. Target neutralized. Echo compromised. March 4th, civilian exposure risk growing. She knows too much. March 5th, ordered not to engage, but may need to relocate. March 6th, beginning to question mission. Civilian is important. My hands were trembling by the time I finished reading. She had written about me, not just as a liability, but as a reason to rethink everything. The truth comes crashing down. He confronted her that night. I stood in our tiny kitchen, notebook in hand, voice trembling with hurt and rage. "I read it all. You shouldn't have. What did you do in Prague, Sophie? Who died? You don't understand, then make me understand." And for the first time, she broke Sophie's truth. She sat down, slowly, eyes glossy. His name was Viktor Marek. He ran black market intel from inside the Czech Security Council. I was sent to get information, not kill him. But he died. Yes, because someone else on my team went rogue. Echo. He turned on us. On me. And the photos? The cleanup crew wanted to make it look like I was responsible. They needed a scapegoat. I barely escaped. Why didn't you tell me? Because if you knew, you'd be next. The offer. She leaned in, voice barely audible. There's a car picking me up tomorrow night. I'm disappearing for good. They're done with me. I disobeyed orders. I protected you. Protected me from what? From the same people. Watching you right now. My skin went cold. I can make you disappear too, if you want. I can make you disappear too, if you want. Her words echoed in my head all night. Disappear. Not vacation. Not leave. Vanish. Like a file getting wiped clean. Like she never existed. And if I said yes, maybe I wouldn't either. No goodbye. No return. Sophie sat at the kitchen table, folding a stack of carefully chosen clothing into a duffel bag. She moved methodically as if she'd done it before. As if she'd done it many times. We leave at 11:45 p.m. sharp, she said. One bag. No phones. No cards. We take the alley behind Union Street. Cars already arranged. What happens after that? She paused. New names. New city. You'll be safe. Safe from who? Everyone? The goodbye letter. While she showered, I sat at my desk with a pen and a blank page. If I went with her, I had to say goodbye to everything. My job, my family, my apartment, my entire life. He started writing a note to my mom. Halfway through, I realized there was no way to say it without sounding insane. Hey Mom, sorry I disappeared. My best friend is a spy and now I'm one too. I tore the page up and threw it in the trash. One last doubt at 10:23 p.m. Sophie checked her burner phone one last time. If you stay, they'll watch you, she said. You'll be flagged. As a leak. You know too much now. And if I go, you're in. Fully. I stared at her. My best friend, my roommate, the person who once cried over rom-coms and danced to 2000s pop music in our kitchen, now she was offering me an untraceable identity. Like it was a favor. The black carrot. 11:44 p.m. A matte black SUV pulled into the alley. No plates. Tinted windows. Sophie tossed her duffel over her shoulder and gave me one last chance. You in? I didn't answer. She took that as a no. I'll miss you, she said, and she meant it. Then she climbed into the car, and just like that Sophie Lane was gone, but not really gone. I didn't sleep. I just sat by the window, staring at the alley. The next morning, my apartment looked the same, but everything felt off. The silence was heavier. And the fear hadn't left. At 2:17 p.m., a manila envelope was slipped under my door. Inside, a burner phone, a folded note in Sophie's handwriting, a photograph of me from 2 days ago. Taken from across the street. They're watching. You now too, the note read. You didn't get in the car, so now you're on their list. Run if you want, or fight. But whatever you do, don't trust anyone. People think the danger ends when the spy disappears. But the truth is, the silence that follows is worse. Because spies don't just vanish, they leave footprints. And sometimes, those footprints lead back to you. A stranger in my own life. He stopped using my credit cards, ditched my phone, deleted all social media. I cut off contact with everyone, even my mom. I wasn't paranoid. I was paying attention. Because ever since Sophie left, I felt it. Eyes on me. Even when I was alone, the surveillance begins at night. I caught a man sitting in a car outside my building. He was there for 6 hours. Didn't eat. Didn't move. Just waited. When I approached, he drove off. The next morning, I found my front door slightly ajar. Nothing was stolen, but the thumb drive was gone. Only one thing had been left behind. A Polaroid photo of me asleep in bed, taken sometime in the last 24 hours. On the back, written in Sharpie, "We warned you." The last gift, that burner phone Sophie had left me. It rang. Once. No caller ID. I picked up. "You're not safe," said a familiar voice. "Meet me where it all started. Sophie, you have 1 hour. Don't bring anything. And for God's sake, don't trust the man with the scar." Click. The truth beneath it. Allie found her in the parking garage under the old public library, the place we first met freshman year. She wore a brown hoodie and sunglasses, hair tucked under a beanie. She looked older, or maybe I'd just grown up since she left. "You came," she said. "You didn't give me much of a choice. I'm sorry for everything. I thought if I left, they'd forget you. They didn't." "I know." Then she handed me a new thumb drive. labeled insurance. The deal, this has everything, she said. Names, accounts, drop points, proof of the rogue unit inside the agency. The same ones who set me up in Prague, and now want you silenced. Why me? Because you know me. Because you saw too much. Because you didn't run. Why? Not just leak it yourself? I'm compromised, burnt. But you're still invisible to them. For now. I hesitated. What do I do with this? You have two options, she said. Expose them, or use it to buy your way out. And what if I want both of us out? She smiled a tired, broken smile. Then you'll have to become what they fear most. A ghost they can't find. The final Mesagi never saw her again. The drive she gave me? I sent 3 encrypted copies to 3 different people I didn't know. Whistleblowers, journalists, activists. I disappeared 2 days later. New ID, new state, new life. But sometimes late at night I check the burner phone she left me. It never rings. Until last week. One new message. Ghosts don't forget. Room 7. Lisbon. Trust no one.